Today, I'm testing every single football cleat to let you guys know what cleat you should buy this year. As you can see, we have everything from Nikes to Under Armour, all the way to New Balances. So we're gonna let you guys know what the best cleat on the market is right now. But if this video gets 10K likes, I'll give away every single one of these cleats. Hey, we need that 50K subs ASAP. So y'all make sure you sub up, like the video, comment what your favorite cleat is or what cleats you're rocking this year. Let me know your game day drip. But hey, let's just get right to it. All right, so we're done testing all the cleats. Now we're gonna go through category by category and assign each one a rating. Starting off with the drip though, the Under Armour Blur Pros, they look smooth, right? They're not the flashiest cleat in the world, but they don't look ugly. They don't look bad by far. A lot of different colorways too. For these, I think I'm gonna go 8.5 out of 10. Moving on, we got the Nike Vapor Edge Speed 3. Another cleat that looks very solid. The Nike Vapor Pro ones look the exact same as those. We gave those 8.5. I think I'm gonna give these 8.5 too. It's another cleat too with a lot of different colorways. So depending on what your school's color are, you're gonna have a lot of options here. Then we got the Nike Vapor Edge Untouchables. One of my favorite silhouettes of all time. The original model is a top 3 cleat. There are some minor differences. So I'd say the original would have been a perfect 10. These, I'm gonna give a 9.5 out of 10. Still a fire looking cleat. Next up is the Adidas Electric Speed 2 cleats. They have a ton of colorways. They have a lot of bold, bright colors. They also have some more subdued colors, you feel me? I gave them a 9 when I first reviewed them. We're gonna give them a 9 again. These are some of my favorite looking cleats. Love how the colors look. Love the like little textured designs on them. It's a fire cleat. Then for the New Balance Prodigies. They're not an ugly cleat, right? But I think they're the worst looking cleat of the bunch. Gave them a 7.5. We're gonna stick with that. Like I said, not ugly, but not really a cleat you're gonna wear and be like, oh shit, that's drip. For the Nike Vapor Pro ones, the lows are 8.5. These are gonna be an 8.5. A lot of y'all said they look like soccer cleats. The more and more I've seen them, they look less like soccer cleats to me. They still look like football cleats. Like I said, another one for some pretty good colorways out there. So overall, pretty good cleat, you know, not like the drippiest, but also like still really good drip. So for the comfort rating on the Under Armour Blur Pros, I'm gonna give these a 10.5 out of 10. These are one of the most comfortable cleats I've ever put on. Might have been a little bit too comfortable. I don't know if that's a thing though, but if you're like have a foot that needs a lot of support or you know, you need cushioning in the cleat, I would recommend these 100%. Yeah, 10.5 out of 10 for the comfort. So for the Nike Vapor Edge Speed 3, we're just gonna call them Speed 3s from here on out. There was definitely a little break-in period. So where I said the Under Armours, you put them on the feet, they felt phenomenal. These, I don't know, the arch of your foot like felt like it had to take some time to like really kind of push that down. Like it felt super arched on the sole. The toe box, definitely a little stiff. Definitely gonna have to wear that for a little minute to kind of get that broken in. It wasn't anything too bad, so I'm gonna go 8 out of 10 for comfort. Moving on to the Vapor Edge Untouchables, I gave these an 8.8 the first time I reviewed them. I don't know what I was thinking. These cleats, they're not super comfortable. There's not a lot of cushion in the plate. The toe box is actually very narrow. Yeah, comfort, I'm gonna give these like a 7.5 out of 10. Then moving on to the comfort rating of the Electric Speed 2. So I gave it an 8 before. When you're testing cleats back to back, it really magnifies some of the positives, but also some of the negatives. One of the negatives was this cleat was actually much less comfortable than an 8. There's not a ton of cushion in here. As you can imagine, Adidas cleats, they're known for one thing. Cushion and comfort's not really one of them. I would bump it down to a 7. Not uncomfortable. Only certain types of people should be wearing this cleat. Then moving on to the New Balance Prodigies. I gave these a 10 before for comfort, and I'm gonna stick with that. The Vapor Pro ones. If you remember, when I reviewed them the first time, I gave them a 0 out of 10. I said they were Nike's most uncomfortable cleat ever. My big gripe was this little part back here, whatever it was like digging into my Achilles, made it unwearable, super painful. And then on top of that, as you can see, the sock and the like actual upper is not one piece. So that was also digging into my foot. Basically made it to the point where I was like, yo, I gotta take these off, wear a different cleat for what I was doing that day. They're broken in a little bit more now. It actually wasn't noticeable whatsoever. Like when I was moving around, running around, didn't feel it at all. I'm gonna give the comfort a 9 on these. They actually felt really, really good now. The Under Armour Blur Pros, I would say they fit pretty well. They might have been a little bit too spacious in the toe box. I don't know, I have kind of narrow feet, so the toe box, it felt like my feet like weren't really snug all the way. It wasn't like too bad. Like it wasn't something where when I'm running around, it feels awful. I'll probably go 8 for the fit on these. For the Speed 3 fit, everything felt like how it should feel. Like foot didn't feel cramped, didn't feel condensed, didn't feel like there was too much space. I'm gonna go 9.5 out of 10. Moving on to the Untouchables. I gave it a 9.5 before. That might've been a tad bit high. Now I'm an 11.5. These are like as small as an 11.5 could possibly be before it's uncomfortable. For fit, I'm gonna bump it down to like an 8.7. And moving on to the Electric Speed fit. So I gave it a 7.3 before. Wearing them again might be a tad bit low. Maybe it was the socks I had on that day. These fit way better than that. I'm gonna go 8 for the fit. So moving on to the Prodigy's fit, I gave them a 10 before, and I feel like if the cleat fits well, it's gonna be more comfortable. So we're gonna stick with that 10 rating. In terms of actually wearing these cleats, they feel really good. The Nike Vapor Pro ones, these feel like a perfect 11.5. You know, my foot is in here, snug, secure, but it's also not too tight to where, you know, it's painful whatsoever. The fit on these, 9.5 out of 10. Then going on to traction, another one where the traction plate wasn't bad, right? I didn't feel like my foot was slipping, felt pretty secure in the ground. I like how long the spikes are, especially in the back. I'm gonna go about 8.5 out of 10. For this Speed 3 traction rating, I'm actually really happy with this traction plate. The one Nike had before, it was god awful. We're gonna get to that in a little bit. This traction plate is really good. Foot felt secure in the ground, felt like there was no slipping whatsoever, felt like everything was like, you know, real, like, yo, we're going in the ground. We're responsive. I'm gonna go 9 out of 10. At the time I tested this out, Nike didn't really have other traction plates. Now that they have other traction plates, it makes me realize how much this one sucked. I gave it a 7.5, I think, before. Yeah, no, this is going down to a 5. Then the traction on the Electric Speed is solid too. Didn't feel like I was slipping really. It's kind of a weird design here. Usually you see the third spike kind of be on the tail right here. Theirs is kind of in the middle more so. Don't know exactly what difference it makes, but traction, we're gonna stick with our same rating, give it an 8.7. So the spikes on these, they're not super long. There were cleats that had better traction, I would say. These though, not bad. Gave them 8.3 before, gonna give them 8.3 again. Then the Vapor Pro traction, whatever this Air Zoom is, it actually makes a big difference. Like I don't know exactly what it does. It does feel comfortable. The cleat doesn't slide around on the ground. Gave it an 8.5 before. I'm bumping it up to a 9 right now. Huge fan of this one. The Under Armour Blur Pros, pretty light, like they're not the heaviest cleat. Actually, they're not heavy at all. They're not the lightest cleat though. We're gonna get to those. Overall, the weight, something I was pretty pleased with. I'm gonna go 8.5 out of 10 again. So the weight on the Speed 3, I think it's solid all around. Like if you're a skill position player, it's definitely not just like super heavy, super bulky. We're gonna go 8.5 for the weight. Then the Untouchables weight, gave it a 9 before. I'm gonna stick with that. Even though it's technically a mid-top cleat, this like mesh material, mesh upper, super lightweight, doesn't feel like anything's there. Now, if your foot gets stepped on, probably cooked, but I will say super light. I said before, Adidas is known for one thing. They are known for how light their cleats are. Before I gave the weight a 10, we're bumping that up to an 11 out of 10. These are noticeably lighter than everything else we've worn today. If you need a light cleat, if you want something fast, yeah, this is for you. Right now with these, the only thing that's kind of bringing them down, you could say, is the drip rating. The weight also brings them down slightly. They're not the lightest of cleats. Now they're not heavy. It's not like noticeable truly on the foot, but wearing these, then like wearing the Adidas's right afterwards, you can feel a little bit of a difference. Gonna stick with a 7.5. Moving on to the Vapor Pro 1, not the lightest of cleats. There's kind of a lot going on. Like anytime you don't have a mesh upper in this day and age and you have a little bit of cushioning, it's gonna bring the weight down a little bit. Not a huge trade-off though. It's not like, yo, it's unwearable and it doesn't feel like a lineman cleat. Gave it an 8 before, gonna stick with that rating. Finally, we got the support rating. So I will say with these, there was like a kind of a weird thing where it almost felt like the cleat was naturally like leaned to the outside a little bit. Like I noticed it when I was walking, like it just feels like a really thin part of the cleat that like your foot is kind of walking on. Wasn't a huge fan of that. That's like the only real negative I had with these. Felt like it's gonna be real easy to roll an ankle. I think I'm gonna give these a 6 out of 10. Then the Speed 3s, they're a pretty supportive cleat. Didn't feel like, you know, foot was rolling around or anything like that. Didn't feel like it was unsecure. You don't gotta go too deep into this. I'm gonna just give it a 8.5 out of 10. Then for the Untouchable support rating, give it an 8 before. We're gonna stick with that. I like how there's actual laces on these cleats. The Nike, I wanna say the Vapor Edge Pro or whatever it was, the one that just had kind of the tongue, the cleats were underneath, the laces were underneath. Didn't like that. Felt like your foot was kind of sliding around in there. These feel supportive, locked down, 8's appropriate. For the support of the Electric Speed 2, as you can see, it is a super aggressive dip right here on the silhouette. Designed to be fast, now not designed to be super supportive. If you got bad ankles whatsoever, do not touch these. Maybe you can spat them up, but I wouldn't even try that. I would go with something else. If you don't need support, they're a good option, but support, I'm gonna go 7.2. Then moving on to the support for the Prodigies, I'm a big fan of any cleat that has laces, makes a big difference. And then sometimes this little tongue part, if it's too loose, then you'll feel like your foot isn't secure in the cleat. And then if it's too tight, I don't know, sometimes it almost feels like, you know, your foot has no ability to like move, or you can't really feel how your foot's moving around. Support on these, solid before, solid now, 9 out of 10. Then for the Pro 1 support rating, it's this sock liner, but it's also this like kind of, I don't even know, material. I feel like having that be 2 separate pieces makes a big difference. It allows your foot to be just a little bit more locked in. I gave the support an 8 before. Part of that was because just it was so uncomfortable that I couldn't really tell how supportive it was, but I'm a big fan of the support now. I'm bumping up to an 8.5. So for the 2025 football cleat drip rankings, at 6, we're gonna have the New Balance Prodigies. In a tie for 3rd, we have the Nike Vapor Edge Speed 3, the Under Armour Blur Pro, and the Nike Vapor Pro 1. At 2, we have the Adidas Electric Speed 2, and the drippiest cleat is gonna be the Nike Vapor Edge Untouchable. Now, it makes sense seeing as they copied the silhouette from one of Nike's best cleats ever, but the Nike Vapor Edge Untouchable, best looking cleat on the market. Moving on, the 2025 football cleat comfort rankings are gonna be at 6, the Nike Vapor Edge Untouchables. In a tie for 4th, we have the Adidas Electric Speed 2 and the Nike Vapor Speed 3. In 3rd was the Nike Vapor Pro 1. In 2nd was the New Balance Prodigy. The most comfortable cleat on the market right now is the Under Armour Blur Pro. And then for the 2025 football cleat fit rankings, in a tie for 5th, we're gonna have the Under Armour Blur Pros and the Adidas Electric Speed 2s. 4th, we're gonna have the Untouchables. In 3rd, we have the Nike Vapor Speed 3s. In 2nd, the Nike Vapor Pro 1s. The best fitting cleat on the market is the New Balance Prodigies. Then for the traction rankings, in last place, we got the Nike Untouchables. In 5th, we got the New Balance Prodigies. In 4th, we have the Under Armour Blur Pro. In 3rd, we have the Adidas Electric Speed 2. And then tied for 1st, we got both new Nike cleats, the Vapor Edge Speed 3 and the Vapor Pro 1s. For the weight rankings, in 6th, we got the New Balance Prodigies. In 5th, we got the Nike Vapor Pro 1s. Tied for 3rd, we got the Under Armour Blur Pros and the Nike Vapor Speed 3s. In 2nd, we got the Untouchables. And I think we all knew this going into the video. We got the Adidas Electric Speed 2 at 1. Support rankings, in 6th, we got the Under Armour Blur Pros. In 5th, we got the Adidas Electric Speed 2. In 4th, we got the Nike Untouchables. Market right now is the New Balance Prodigies. The moment y'all all been waiting for, the overall rankings. In last place, we actually have the Nike Untouchables. In 5th place, we got the Under Armour Blur Pros. In 4th place, we got the Nike Vapor Edge Speed 3. In 3rd is the Adidas Electric Speed 2. In 2nd is the New Balance Prodigies. In the top spot, and the reason I retested all the cleats is actually the Nike Vapor Pro 1. So at the time I first did them, they were actually the lowest rated cleat. Now they end up being in the top spot. I think you just have to break them in. So the first little period you're wearing them might be super uncomfortable. Gotta push past that. Once you do, it's actually a phenomenal cleat. But that's gonna do it for the video. Let me know in the comments what cleats you're gonna rock this year. Let me know if this video helped at all. Remember, this video hits 10K likes, we're gonna give away every single cleat that we showed in this video. They're all 11.5, so if you're not 11.5, you know, you're gonna have to, I don't know. Maybe if the 10K we'll do a cleat giveaway, who knows? But yeah, like, share, comment, subscribe, keep running it up. Remember, 50K subs, we need that ASAP. Yeah, but I'm gonna catch y'all next time.